Welcome to another episode of Dungeons and Social Distancing with Nerdarchy.
Join us for an Unearthed Arcana review of spells and magic tattoos.
Welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds. I'm Nerdarchy Dave, and as usual, I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
You won't need summoning spells to make D&D content appear in your feed if you hit that subscribe button.
And never miss another Nerdarchy video by attuning to that notification bell like it's a magic tattoo.
All right, so you may notice this video is a little bit different than how we normally shoot our videos. While we are practicing the best practices laid out by the CDC, we are doing social distancing. My wife, Ted's sister, is autoimmune compromised, so we want to just stay safe. We want you to stay safe. With that, we're going to jump into the video. As usual, we do have a sponsor, and we want to thank Danny Bell, best-selling author for Amazon USA Today, has a great series, the Black Novel series, featuring the protagonist, Alana Black, who has the superpower of basically, or magic power, depending on how you want to describe it, of going into fictional works like books, TVs, movies, things of that nature. It's a ton of fun. It is an urban fantasy. Not only that, I've been listening to the audiobooks. I've listened to 3 of them so far. I'm ready to listen to the 4th one as soon as it comes out. They have a star-studded cast when it comes to their audio productions. They're amazing. And we actually have been able to meet some of these people as well. Ted, who's on the audio cast?
All right, so in this new book, we are looking at a spectacular cast of Witten Frank, Mark Meir, Bonnie Gordon, Becca Scott, Lauren Bancroft, Kevin Kittredge, Thomas Hamilton, and Joseph Limbaugh. So we've met some of these, as Dave said. I can only imagine how great this is going to come with such a stellar cast.
With that, let's jump into Unearthed Arcana. We're going to be looking at spells and tattoos.
All right, so when we look at this 12-page Unearthed Arcana, there is a lot of stuff that's here. We get 11 new spells that are, pretty awesome. You get 1 for Bard, 3 for Cleric, 3 for Druid, 2 for Paladin, 1 for the Ranger, 6 for the Sorcerer, 7 for the Warlock, 9 for the Wizard. It's pretty darn impressive.
Pretty beefy. For magic tattoos, we get 11 magic tattoos, 10 of which require attunement, 1 doesn't. We're getting a lot of stuff, packed into this Unearthed Arcana.
I know with our usual sequence of events with Unearthed Arcana, we tend to read through all of it, but there's a lot of very similar material that's here in the way it's designed. So we decided we were going to take a different approach. While we will call out certain things and read specific, stuff, we're always, of course, going to give our opinions, but we're not going to dive through all of it. When we look at these spells, there's a number of cool ones that are different. We've got Acid Stream. Stream of acid emanates from you in a line of 30 feet long and 5 feet wide in the direction you choose. Each creature in the line must succeed on a dex save or be covered in acid for the spell's duration, or until a creature uses action to scrape or wash off the acid itself or another creature. A creature covered in the acid takes 3d4 acid damage at the start of each of its turn, but this is a first level spell. So we are getting an area effect spell. It's save or suck, but it's a 30-foot line. So you could really do a significant amount of damage, because unless that creature takes the action to get the stuff off, it's just going to keep burning. It's concentration up to a minute. That can do a lot of damage over that amount of time.
Yeah, you're looking at potentially 10 rounds. You can cast it at higher levels to add an extra die 4. If they fail that initial saving throw, it's going to do a little bit of damage, a decent amount of damage every round if they don't scrape it off, and sucking up an action to remove it. There's a lot of great uses for this. It's, offensively, you have the potential of doing damage, or defensively, you have the potential of keeping those creatures out of a round of combat. In most cases, both things are very beneficial to the party.
So we also have another really cool spell. This one is 6th level, Otherworldly Form. Uttering an incantation, you draw upon magic of the lower or upper planes, your choice, to transform yourself. You gain the following benefits until the spell ends. If you go from the lower planes, you're immune to fire and poison damage, or if you go for the upper planes, you're immune to radiant and necrotic damage. If you go with the lower, you're immune to the poison condition or the charm condition if you go with the upper planes. Spectral wings appear on your back, giving you a flying speed of 40 feet. You have a +2 bonus to your AC. All your weapon attacks are magical, and when you make a weapon attack, you can use your spellcasting ability modifier instead of strength or dex for the attack and damage rolls, and you can attack twice instead of once when you take the attack action, just so long as you don't already have the extra attack feature. Pretty potent. It is concentration up to a minute, so it's another transformative spell, giving spellcasters the ability to, be able to get into melee and bash it up, so to speak?
Well, getting into melee is never particularly great, but for your blade singers, your war wizards, this might be really good. Some of your tankier sorcerers, not bad. I think it's a really great spell for your cleric if you want to mix it up. Drop this on you. This makes you way more effective in combat. So yeah, there's definitely some uses. I think some players are going to have fun with this one.
So now, as we said, there are a boatload of summoning spells in this. I know there's definitely been a cry out since the beginning of 5th edition that there are not enough, essentially, pet spells, if you will. The summoner concept has always been something that's fun. It's been used in tabletop role-playing games and video games for a while, but this particular Unearthed Arcana really dives in and gives you access to summoning spells as early as 2nd level or 2nd level spell slots. So as early as 3rd level, you're going to be using summoning spells if that really is the design you're looking for.
But here's the thing too. You're getting a significant amount of them. You're getting 8 of them. But the other side of that, the reason why we haven't gotten a lot of summoning spells is summoning is a problem in the game just because of action economy, right? If you have a character that can summon a bunch of things, in previous editions, it's like, oh, everyone go out for dinner because the summoner is taking their turn, right? So that has always been kind of the problem with the pet classes.
Right. And, it's very fair to have said that. So they've been, I imagine, behind the scenes trying to figure out how to make this work and how to satisfy those type of casters or characters, I should say. So the thing that I love the most about this particular set of spells is the design structure of what these summoning spells do. They all allow you to summon a single thing, and they, for the most part, are concentration up to an hour, but each one gives a variety of choice when you go ahead and do it. So I'm going to read you the structure for Summon Aberrant Spirit.
Well, you know what? Real quick, just so people know, there's 8 different ones. They range from 2nd level to 5th level. It is Beasts, Aberrant, Fey, Shadow, Undead, Celestial, Elemental, and Fiendish, I believe.
Yeah, it's a potent mix of variety that's in here. And then again, once you actually look at the breakdown, it does give you, even more to look with. So for Aberrant Spirit, the armor class of the creature you summon is 11 plus the level of the spell and its natural armor. The hit points equal to the aberration's constitution modifier plus your spellcasting ability modifier plus 10 times the spell's level. So, each of these things you're seeing a formula that is component of, what level spell slot that you're using to cast this. So I happen to really dig that particular aspect. But then when you summon, you make a choice. And for the Aberrant Spirit, you're choosing Slotty, Star Spawn, or Beholderkin. And they each offer different benefits. So like the Beholderkin gives you a fly speed, the Slotty gives you regeneration, the Star Spawn gives you a whispering aura, and then each one has a particular attack type. It each gets multi-attack. The Aberration makes a number of attacks equal to half the spell's level rounded down. So if you use a 6th level spell slot, this is going to give you 3 attacks. If you use an 8th level spell slot, it's going to give you 4. So they really mathed it up. And the nerd in me is like, they did some homework on this one. They crunched some numbers and found a way to make it significant when you go ahead and use these summon spells. And they all have this very similar mechanic of it's one spell that gives you a lot of options.
Yeah, the spell level is going to affect your armor class, your hit points, number of attacks, your attack bonus, your damage bonus. They really are enticing you to upcast the spell to create a better creature, a better spirit. And they're all similar in that they all have small choices that you can make between 2 and 3 each. It's just interesting. It's fun. For an hour, you have an ally that you can drop on the battlefield. They all work the same way for the most part. They're non-specific in their appearance. So really, I feel like you have the discretion as the player to kind of like come up with and decide how they look. And maybe it always is the same. Maybe it's different depending. Maybe you summon a specific one. I think there's a lot of things you could do that create role-playing opportunities between you and your summoned spirit if you wish them.
Absolutely. Next, we're going to move on to the magic tattoos. Blending magic and artistry with ink and needles, magic tattoos imbue their bearers with wondrous effects and abilities. Magic tattoos are initially bound to magic needles, which transfer their magic to a creature. The designs of magic tattoos vary greatly in appearance depending upon who created it, but share general characteristics that hint at the effect of the tattoo. Once inscribed on a creature's skin, damage or injury doesn't impair the tattoo's function, even if the tattoo is defaced. The rarer a magic tattoo, the more space it occupies on a creature's skin. The magic tattoo coverage table, shows exactly what it is. So if it's a common tattoo, it only takes up to 6 inches. If it's uncommon, it's half a limb or the scalp. If it's rare, it's 1 limb. Very rare, 2 limbs or the chest or upper back. Legendary, 2 limbs and the torso.
So, I mean, they did make it so you could only have 1 legendary, essentially. Then you could do a very rare or 2 rare. So even that is a little mathed out there as far as the number of tattoos you can have. You can put common ones. You probably have a ton of those on you.
Now, there's a variant for body modification, which I really dig. And considering the different niches for body modification, I thought this was very all-encompassing. These items needn't be limited to just tattoos. They can instead be presented as other body mods such as brands, scarification, birthmarks, patterns of scales, or any other cosmetic skin adornment or alteration. Consider the object a magical body modification is bound to instead of tattoo needles such as branding irons or enchanted dragon scales. So I really dig that.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. I mean, I did see some chatter on the internet about, like, why isn't it, like, the tattoo is putting you on them and that's where the magic comes from. I think this is the easiest way. And also by having them be magical tattoos, there are some people or creatures that you would not normally be able to tattoo. Like, I don't imagine you could tattoo a lizard folk, right? They're scaly. Like, you need skin for that, because the process of tattooing is essentially wounding the skin and putting ink in there, and then it heals with it over top of it, and the color's locked in. So, creatures that might not normally be able to get tattoos can. A turtle, how would you put it on their shell? With the magic, you don't have to worry about that. Or using body modification variant, you could do it very easily. But there's no reason why in your world you couldn't have this bestowed by a magical tattooist that does this. Is this something you want your player characters to do? Probably not, only because it could get ridiculous fast. But, there are definitely other ways of doing it.
So when it comes to the magical tattoos, there are 11 in here, and 10 of which require attunement. But the tattoo attunement is, special. It says, to attune to this item, you hold the needle to your skin where you want the tattoo to appear, pressing the needle there throughout the attunement process. When the attunement is complete, the needle turns into the ink that becomes the tattoo, which appears on the skin. If you have multiple magic tattoos, they count as a single magic item with regard to the number of magic items you can attune to. If your attunement to the tattoo ends, the tattoo vanishes and the needle reappears in the closest unoccupied space to you. So the only real situation that I look at with that is, well, how do you use these as treasure and not have it be that, if I drop you to 0 or you die, do your tattoos automatically unink themselves? And it goes into that argument of, when does attunement forcibly end?
I think it ends when you die.
So, I've never played games where, when someone has died, that they've had to reattune to their items because people have used Revivify and Heal, and they're in combat not too much longer thereafter. So it's a little crazy, with all tattoos going in at the same attunement slot. That is where the coverage comes into play, so that yes, you're not being able to have 2 legendaries. You could, as you said, break down however you wanted to do it, and that would definitely make for an interesting character to have all of these. But the tattoos that are in here are spectacular.
Well, it also raises a question: what happens with the Artificer? They have abilities key to how many items they're attuned to, I believe. Mm-hmm. If I'm not mixing up the UA version and the official version. So it only requires 1 attunement slot to have a bunch of tattoos, but technically they're still each an attuned magic item. So
here is the specific wording: if you have multiple magic tattoos, they count as a single magic item with regard to the number of magic items you can attune to.
Okay, then that does pretty much cover it.
They covered it. It doesn't say that, they all take the same slot. No, they count as a single item. So I imagine somebody at Watt's headquarters was like, oh, we need to make sure that we cover this.
Yeah, definitely. So the very first one is the absorbing tattoo, which is very rare and requires attunement because they all do except for the one. This tattoo incorporates designs that emphasize one color more than others. While the tattoo is on your skin, you have resistance to a type of damage associated with the color as shown on the table below. The DM chooses the color or determines randomly. And, basically there's 10 different damage types, 10 different colors, and they're all listed. So the DM will pick one or roll one, or maybe have you pick your poison by rolling. Who knows? Damage absorption. When you take damage of the chosen type, you can use your reaction to gain immunity against that instance of damage, and you regain a number of hit points equal to half the damage you would have taken. Once this reaction is used, you can't use it again before the next dawn. So that's a really cool item. You have resistance to a damage type. You can choose to ignore it and heal instead, which is super cool.
Yeah, I think that, as a portion, of what you could possibly do with tattoos, I think that is spectacular. When I compare that one to your barrier tattoo, not quite, that one is much cooler. Barrier tattoo essentially puts armor on you.
It gives you a new way of calculating armor class. It's not a bonus. So it's either going to be 12 plus your dex, 15 plus your dex with a maximum of +2, or 18, just a flat, which there's definitely some instances where it'd be useful. But yeah, maybe the absorb tattoo is way cooler. And then there's a couple others. Coiling Grasp is just a really kind of like Cthulhian and weird one to use. This one is uncommon, so it's not going to take up that much space. This tattoo has long intertwining designs while the tattoos on your skin can use an action to cause the tattoo to extrude into inky tendrils, which reach for a creature you can see within 15 feet of you. The creature must succeed a DC 14 strength saving throw or take 3d6 force damage and be grappled by you. As an action, the creature can escape the grapple by succeeding on a DC 14 strength athletics or dexterity acrobatics check. The grapple also ends if you halt it, no action required, or if the creature is ever more than 15 feet away from you, or you uses this tattoo on a different creature. So the visual on that one to me is just spectacular.
I love that one. That's something that, there's a variety of characters that I think would really enjoy having that one. I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention the spectacular tattoo that's legendary, and that's Blood Fury tattoo. The tattoo evokes fury in its form and colors. While this tattoo is on your skin, you gain the following benefits. Your attack rolls score a critical hit on a d20 roll of 19 or 20. When you score a critical hit against a creature, that target takes an extra 4d6 necrotic damage, and you gain a number of temporary hit points equal to necrotic damage dealt. When a creature you can see damages you, you can use your reaction to make a melee attack against that creature with advantage on your attack roll. Wow. I read that one without acknowledging the fact that it was legendary, and my jaw was just dropping. I was like, wait, you're going to add 4d6 damage on a crit, and you're critting, essentially twice as often? Man.
It's a good one. There's a reason why it is legendary, for sure. And then I guess we should mention the one that is not an attunement, for sure.
So that is the Spell Wrought tattoo, and basically the rarity is determined by the spell level, but essentially it turns your body into a spell scroll. You can put a spell on you anywhere from a cantrip to 5th level, and then what you put on there, the spellcasting ability modifier, the save DC, and the attack bonus is concrete. It's set by what you're actually putting on there, and then you can use an action to cast the spell. Once you do so, the spell is gone, the tattoo goes along with it, but it doesn't require attunement, and you can turn your body into spell scrolls essentially.
And those range from common to rare, so you could put a bunch of them all over you for sure.
I think it would be cool to be able to have a tattoo that essentially just gives you a cantrip that, it stays, it's there, it takes up a spot, doesn't require attunement, and it gives you access to a cantrip. I think that would be fine in my games because they're cantrips. It's not that big a deal. But, that's for other people to, decide when they run their games.
Well, it does open up a whole new possibilities when it comes to magic items because there's tons of things you could do with tattoos. And there's things you could do with them that you might not be able to do with other magic items. Again, it's nice because if you want to feature this in in your campaign. One attunement slot gets you as much ink as you can dig up and find, which is good because anyone that has tattoos knows once you get one tattoo, it's quite addictive and you're going to want more. So there is that.
You know, I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention, obviously with the the Critical Role book that just recently came out. On Critical Role, there is a character that they've interacted with who has actually performed magical tattoos, and they didn't really talk about nothing is requiring attunement. They didn't talk about the exact space requirement based on what they want, but there was a significant gold cost because they actually ground up essentially gem dust that is part of the actual inking process. So I thought it was definitely cool to see.
Wait a minute, Ted, did they tattoo them or bedazzle them?
They tattooed them. I don't think anyone's bedazzled. That was part of the cost, I guess, make it not so that, everybody's getting magical tattoos and what have you.
Well, they can. They just need enough gold. But on that note, if you enjoyed this Unearthed Arcana, you could check out the other Unearthed Arcanas we've done. The last one we did for Unearthed Arcana 2020 Subclasses Part 3 is up there.
Do you enjoy playtesting new 5e content? Then you might want to head over to Nerdarchy Patreon, where we're creating new content for players and DMs alike every month.
That isn't all. We hold patron weekly live chats. We do monthly giveaways that our patrons are automatically entered and more.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.